Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a drama slash thriller from Germany, German language English subs, released in the year 2007, directed by Christian Petzold, and this film is called Yella. So Yella is about a woman named Yella. She's just recently split from her husband, and her ex-husband is now very obsessive. He's stalking her. He says he wants to get back with her, but she doesn't want anything to do with him. So she needs to start a new life, and she thinks the best way to do this is to go to another city, try to find a new home, a new romance, and a new job. So she goes to the new city, and she applies for a job that seems a little bit dodgy, and then she gets let down when the job doesn't come about. But then she meets this mysterious businessman. Now, this businessman needs someone of her talent because she's very good at business, and so he needs her to go with him, to partner up, to go to these meetings in order to negotiate some money that he really needs. So as the situation progresses, she goes to more and more meetings, and this is where she realizes that there is something a little bit off with this guy, that he might be a little bit corrupt. But she ends up falling in love with him, and she believes that this is something she needs for her life. But then her old life is about to come into the mix, which is going to threaten to derail everything that she has built. And whether or not that is the case is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Yella. I really wanted to love this film because after I started watching it, I straight away got a lot of reminiscent qualities of French noir. Now, I'm a massive fan of French noir. Dominic Mole, who directed films like The Monk, Harry with a Friend Like Harry, and you've also got Lemming, which were all fantastic films that created something out of nothing. They feel very dull, monotonous in their tone, but the atmosphere slowly engulfs you. It's the stuff you can't see, so it takes a very good filmmaker to actually pull off French noir, and Dominic Mole is definitely one of those directors. So when I saw Yella, I started to get those reminiscent qualities of actually making something out of nothing. This is a very dull looking film, and it's a very eerie sort of film, but you don't know why it's eerie, and that question's lingering in your head. Why do I feel so uncomfortable? And the director knows this, and the director's really playing off it, in that you've got this surreal atmosphere where it feels like it's realistic, it's taking place with realistic characters and realistic situations and the monotonous tone of everyday life, but there is something that captures you to the point where you feel very uneasy, and it's got that surreal quality where it's mixing it in with realistic and unrealistic events, and so it makes it a very, very strange experience, and it's typical of European cinema. So I always liked that, and for that reason I really wanted to love it. I really wanted to get into these characters. I thought it was a very interesting in its themes that it's depicting. On one theme, you've got domestic violence, and that this woman is trying to get away from this man, and that she always feels like the man is with her and basically spying on her. She can't see him, but she can feel his presence, and you can feel his presence as well, and that gives the eeriness that the movie wants. And it's a symbolization of domestic violence, and how just because you've disconnected yourself from the person that you're scared of, it doesn't mean that he's out of your head. And so it really does start to play on her mind. And then when she gets her new lover, she finds that he is a little bit corrupt, and so it's that the domino effect of leaving a bad person to come with another bad person. So it's kind of like this woman has a lot of vulnerabilities in her that are being basically taken advantage of by the wolves outside the door. And so that is very interesting in the way it does it, is that it's got a very dull and subtle sort of tone to these characters, but there's a little bit of depth that isn't explained that gives you the curiosity that the movie needs. And then you've also got themes of East and West Germany, which I thought was symbolized through the corruption of this man. When they go through their meetings, this woman starts off as vulnerable, but then all of a sudden she starts to get that corrupt feeling, and it's the corruption of East and West Germany and all the themes that were depicted back in that date, and basically the different mentalities on each side of the wall. So I thought that was very interesting. And then you've got the cutthroat business, the business world, where everyone's trying to get up on each other, and how the lacking of compassion you need in order to get to be a successful person. So all these themes are thrown into a very surreal atmosphere, and it really should have worked, but unfortunately it doesn't work for the simple fact that it was a little bit too intelligent for its own good. Now, what I mean by that is that there are a lot of themes and there are a lot of references in this film that you really need to pick up on, in that they are very subtle and they're very confusing. And so the movie is aimed at a very specific audience that actually makes you, for the people that actually want to think considerably. This is a movie that you can't enjoy. This is a movie that feels like you're studying it for a school project, and that it's a chore to really get through, is because you're using your brain way too much. And if you don't get the references with East Germany and all the cutthroat sort of business methods that the movie has, you're gonna go over your head. And when it goes over your head, you don't really get a grasp of what's going on. And the movie does have that very dull, monotonous tone. And so if you don't get what the actual themes are trying to tell you, it comes across as an incredibly dull and tedious experience. I thought this movie really lacked that common denominator that could really connect to the average viewer. And because it can't connect to the average viewer, that is what it's lacking compared to French noir. French noir doesn't try to do anything too extravagant to the point where you're using your brain too much. Yes, you're using your brain, there's a lot of ambiguity, but at the end of the film, you feel as though it can connect to the common person, whereas this movie, it doesn't connect to that common person. And then the other problem the movie has is right at the end, it ties up all the loose ends. Now, that goes against what an ambiguous film should be. In French noir, you've got a lot of ambiguity, but the movie finishes on a very ambiguous level, so it makes you want to go back and you can draw your own conclusions. You can make your own story as what this movie is about. But in this movie, it doesn't do that, because the director doesn't hold your hand until the very last moment. And so when it's all cut and dry and it's in stone, it feels like a complete waste, all that ambiguity. It was like, what is this director trying to tell us with this and that? And then at the end, it's just a complete cop-out where you feel as though this was a completely worthless exercise. It contradicts all the ambiguity that it has going for it, and it really just is shot itself in the foot. And so not only is it a very dull and tedious experience, but it's a dull and tedious experience for no real reason. It's because the ending eliminates all of the possibilities that the movie has, and it just doesn't make that much sense. And so I thought the acting was decent. I thought, as I said, the themes were interesting to some level, but that interest is never gone into, and as a result, it just comes across as one of the most boring experiences I've had in quite a while. If you are into these very intellectual kind of films, then maybe you'll get something out of it, but for me, it forces you to use your brain past the point of enjoying it and going into the realms of actually studying a film, and that's not something you really want from an experience, and unfortunately, that is what prevents this movie from being any good. So overall, for Yella, going to give it 2 stars, not coming recommended. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, thank you for watching movies, and I'll see you later.